Hello? You? No, fuck, no, I'm not doing that.
You know, I miss the good old days when shows would end on a high note. They didn't just overstay their welcome to fulfill a contractual obligation or meet network demands. But now, shows don't end when the story's finished. They end when the money stops coming in. Studios want more seasons, writers cash another check, and somewhere along the way, the story loses the plot. Game of Thrones, Dexter, Supernatural, they all ran for way longer than they should have. And it doesn't just ruin the ending. It tarnishes the legacy of the entire show. The reason Breaking Bad is considered one of the greatest of all time is because it knew when to stop. After 5 seasons, You has finally ended. The writing was abysmal, the finale was messy, and Joe's still a fucking psychopath. Now, the cast is doing a press tour to promote the final season, and I'll be honest, I've grown attached to this show over the years. But don't let the marketing fool you. This finale leaves a lot to be desired. Let's talk about it. So, episode 9 starts with Joe and the worst love interest we've had on the show thus far. And I'm not kidding. She's by far the worst. Oh my god, words cannot express how much I loathe this character. By the way, Kate is the most boring person in this entire season. She basically serves as Joe's foil. In the beginning, she needed someone to be murdered because she was in trouble. Joe ends up doing it. But then she's like, no, murder is wrong and immoral and I feel guilty. She's basically a pussy. But Joe is not having any of it. He's like, she doesn't love me for who I am. So he ends up fucking Bronte. Kate digs up more of his past, finds out that he's about that life. Her and Nadia are trying to trap Joe. They end up succeeding, putting him in his cage. And Joe is the most nonchalant person I've ever seen. He does not give 2 fucks that he's in the cage. And now we have the biggest bombshell of season 5. Marianne's alive. Whoever that actress is that plays Marianne, she is phenomenal. Every scene she was in, I was like, Jesus Christ, this girl can act. I would let Marianne do dangerous things to me, bro. Like, she has that whole punk, edgy aesthetic. Dude, I would let Marianne put me in the cage, dog. Kate and Nadia are both antagonizing Joe. They realize, yo, maybe we should kill him. And Joe, being the crazy motherfucker that he is, is it Sue? He put a key into his arm for this very occasion. Kate comes down the stairs and Joe, you know, his mouth is filled with blood because he was ripping out the stitches. He like leaps on top of her and they're wrestling for the gun that she has. He gets the gun and he shoots her in the stomach. So keep that in mind. She has a bullet wound in her stomach. Like, she's bleeding profusely. Joe then smashes her on the head with a mallet. So not only has she been shot, she's experienced blunt force trauma. And as Joe is trying to escape, he realizes that the door is locked. One of the twins is like, fuck you, Joe. You got me arrested. I'm burning down the bookstore now. At this point, I'm like, well, I mean, it's over, right? There's no way they can escape. They're cooked. So Bronte, she comes down the stairs like she's fucking Batman. And Joe's like, Bronte, you came to save me. And in her head, she literally starts monologuing, I'm gonna make you pay for all the things that you've done. Meanwhile, Kate is literally next to Joe bleeding the fuck out. And she doesn't give a shit. She just carries Joe to safety. She literally lets Kate die to save Joe. Joe ends up proposing to her and she accepts. Maybe she has a plan. You know, maybe I'm about to see some L light 300 IQ fucking like 4D chess.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
Spoiler alert, none of that shit happened. Bronte's fucking stupid. The finale starts. It's her and Joe. They're in a forest. They're driving somewhere. They end up stopping at a gas station. She sees a cop and the cop is like, hey, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. And in her head, she's like, I could tell on Joe right now, but as soon as he sees the cop leaving, he's just gonna run away. As if the cop can't radio the other police and tell them to chase this motherfucker after he gets the plates. Nope. They end up going to a fucking Airbnb, bro. I shit you not. Joe's like, let me take you out to a canoe ride, you know, after dinner. They end up going on a canoe ride and Bronte monologuing in her head. She's like, I know you're fucking crazy, but I love being seen like this. You just have such an effect on me. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is happening? They end up going to the bed. Are they about to start fucking? Like, what's going on? You know, Joe's shirt is off. He's half-ass naked. He's taking off her underwear, and she pulls a Glock from underneath the pillow and puts it on. I'm like, this was your fucking plan? This was your plan, bro. There's no fucking way. This is unfathomable. I was astounded. I deadass couldn't believe it. She pulls out Beck's book. She throws it to him. She's like, I want you to take out everything that you fixed in this book. What? Like, she wants him to rewrite it, take out all of his edits. Now, I thought it was pretty established that Beck was a shit author. She was extremely mid.
Fragile kids love gorgeous bullies.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But apparently that wasn't good enough for Bronte. Joe made the book better, no? Okay, whatever. He's literally sitting there editing the book while she's across from him with a gun pointed at him. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? How long is this gonna take? Bro, editing a book takes a minute. So obviously they cut it. Were they just sitting there for like an hour while he's going through and editing the book? Like... Anyways, the dude that Joe's getting the passports from and his fake identity calls him, yo, you want to speak to your son? He's fucking playing Fortnite right now. I can connect you. So Joe talks to his son, and his son is like, Dad, you know that monster you told me that was lurking underneath my bed? There wasn't a monster. You're the monster. Joe is like, maybe he deserves better than me. And Bronte's sitting there with a gun pointed at him like, Joe, stop playing the fucking victim. Which, I mean, it's kind of valid. Joe is always playing the victim. Joe is tired of her bullshit. He ends up tackling her. He wrestles the gun away from her and he shoots her in the stomach. This is part 2, okay? He already shot Kate. She ends up running out of that Airbnb and then she kind of jukes Joe out. You know, she's trying to call 911, but her screen is fucking cracked and there's blood and shit. The 911 call finally connects, but she doesn't talk to them. She just throws the phone outside. So Joe is like, you want to know how Beck died? You really want to know? I'll show you. And he chokes her out, bro. He literally chokes her out. She ends up hitting him with a toy she found at the gas station. He ends up tackling her into the lake. He's literally drowning her. Like, he's waterboarding her. She's struggling and finally she just drowns, okay? So keep in mind, not only was she shot, she was drowned. So there's no way she comes back, right? No fucking way. At this point, the police are here, which I don't understand. Like, if I'm a 911 operator and I'm like, what's your emergency? And the other person doesn't respond, I'm fucking hanging up. She didn't even talk to the 911 operator. How the fuck did the police know to show up? They surround the perimeter. Joe's like, oh, I'm fucked. So he ends up killing a cop because he's got it like that, apparently, bro. That shit was like Assassin's Creed, bro. It was beautiful. And out of nowhere, Bronte grabs the police officer's gun. I think she grabs that gun. She somehow found a gun. She survived being shot at and waterboarded, drowned, if you will, pointing a gun at Joe. And Joe is like, kill me. Just kill me. Bronte's like, no, I'm not gonna kill you. It reminded me of Breaking Bad, just like 50 times worse. And finally, Joe gets arrested. He goes to jail and you kind of see everyone's life afterwards. Honestly, I don't give a two shits about most of these characters, but guess who's alive? Kate, who somehow managed to survive being shot in the stomach, blunt force trauma to the head, smoke inhalation from a fire. How the fuck did she crawl out of a burning bookstore with injuries like that? And she has minor burns, bro. Like, you could barely tell she was in the fire, dog. I was like, how the fuck is she alive, bro? That was the biggest ass pull of 2025, bar none. Bro, and the worst character, Bronte.
I still have no idea who I want to be, but I can't wait to find out.
This is by far the corniest fucking character I've ever witnessed, though. Joe's in prison now, you know, he's got his head all buzzed and he gets like a letter from a crazy fan. And he's like, maybe the problem isn't me, it's you. And that's it, bro. That was the finale. That's what I waited 5 seasons for. So I was thinking of ways I could have improved this finale, and honestly, I would have completely rewrote it. I think Bronte was a terrible character. In another video, I saw someone wanted like a cat and mouse game between Joe and a detective, and I thought that was brilliant. Okay, I think the best parts of You are when Joe is actively outsmarting his adversaries, and I would have just loved a whole season of that. That would have been the cherry on top. Also, they hardly mentioned Love in this season, which is a damn shame because I think she is the most compelling of all Joe's love interests. And there is no Jenna Ortega either. And that's a bummer. Honestly, I don't think they had the budget for her. So it is what it is. But yeah, my next video is going to be about one of the worst cliffhangers in television history. I'm excited for that. You know, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.